Hello everyone, James here with you again, and this time we are looking at extra practice question 2. In this video I'm going to be answering part A and part B. So let's read the question together. Gabson Guitar Limited produces and sells a single line of premium acoustic guitar strings. Okay, the company's pro forma or budgeted income statement is as follows. So we see that the company has sales revenue of $250,000. And we see that that's made up of 10,000 packs of guitar strings sold at $25 per pack. Okay, that makes sense. Manufacturing costs of goods sold are broken up between direct or variable and fixed costs for a total of $218,500. Sales minus manufacturing cost of goods sold equals a gross margin or gross profit of $31,500. And then we have selling and administrative expenses, both variable and fixed. So at the bottom, we see that the company is earning an operating income of $15,000 even. And question A asks, how many units of the product must Gabson sell to break even? So again, we see the words break even, though that's a key term. So we know right away that our break even formula will be written out and it will be equal to 0. That's right. Okay, so let's write out the formula and figure this out. So here we have question 2A. Sales price per unit times the number of units produced and sold minus the variable costs per unit times the number of units produced and sold minus total fixed costs in dollars. And when all of that equals 0, we know that the company has broken even. So let's look back at the question and see if we can pick out the key variables from the question so that we can solve for X and determine how many units they need to break even. Looking at the question, okay, we have to peer through the numbers, and here we see besides sales revenue, I'm seeing in brackets 10,000 packs at $25 a pack. That $25 is in fact their sales price per unit, right? Because it's saying $25 per pack and it's in the sales column. So we know it's sales. So SP in this case is equal to $25. Again, we're trying to determine the number of units the company must sell to break even, which is the definition of X. So we're going to solve for X, so we leave it as our unknown. Now, our variable costs, we know that this is variable costs per unit, right? In the chart, are these costs being shown as unit costs or total costs? Well, first of all, unit costs are represented in units, right? They're not represented in dollars. This chart shows direct and fixed costs represented in dollars. We also see that according to the sales line, 10,000 packs are sold. So all of these numbers are in relation to 10,000 units sold. So that would imply that this is absolutely total costs that we're looking at. So then we have to ask ourselves, okay, how do we convert total variable costs into variable costs per unit? And like we did in question 1, the way to solve this problem is to add up all variable costs, all total variable costs, and divide by the number of units produced. What is the number of units produced? Well, beside the sales revenue, we see that 10,000 packs were produced. So we shall divide by 10,000 to get our unit variable costs. So let's go down the list and see what type of variable costs we need to add up. Well, there's direct materials, and we know from the lessons in class that direct materials and direct labor are the same as variable materials and variable labor. So we'll include those. Direct material is 75,000. Direct labor is 65,000. Variable overhead is 50,500. And variable selling and admin is 10,000. So let's go over to our calculator here, add this up real quick. 75,000 plus 65,000 plus 50,500 plus 10,000. This equals 200,500. And what is this? This is total variable costs. Remember, to get to unit variable costs, we have to divide by the number of units produced, which is 10,000. And we're left with $20.05. That is the cost it is incurred to produce one pack of guitar strings. So, in other words, the company spends $20.05 to produce a set of guitar strings, which they then turn around and sell for $25, which is reasonable. There is some difference here. Remember, the difference between this and this is our contribution margin. So we'll keep that in mind. Now, what are the total fixed costs? Well, like I mentioned a minute ago, the numbers in question 2 are already represented in total costs. So all we have to do is identify the fixed costs, add them up, and put them in our formula. It's as simple as that. So looking at the formula, I see that fixed overhead is 28,000. And fixed selling and admin is 6,500. So that equals $34,500. And when all of that equals 0, we'll have broken even. So let's subtract 25x minus 20.05x. I have to be careful with my addition here. So we have 495x. And now let's move the negative 34,500 to the opposite side of the equal sign, causing the sign to become positive. And now we solve for x by isolating it. And to do that, we divide both sides by 495. We can cancel these out, and now x is equal to 34,500 divided by 4.95. And the answer is 6,900, and we'll round up to 70 units. And that is the answer for question 8, because the question asks how many units of the product must Gabson sell to break even. So the answer is 6,970 units. Now moving on to question B. B asks, what is Gibson's break-even point in sales dollars? Well, similar to question 1, since we know the number of units that the company needs to produce to break even, 6,970, all we have to do to get their sales in dollars at break even is to multiply the number of units they need to produce by the sales price. And we know the sales price, right? We figured it out here. It's $25. So 6,970 units times $25 a unit is $174,250. When the company earns $174,250 in sales, it will have broken even. And that is our answer for question 2B.